Howdy AdWords fans, and welcome back to the continuation of our in-depth look at all the different available ad extensions. Moving onwards, let's take a look at call extensions. As you can see on the right, we did a search for a math tutor, and we get an ad, and we see this little phone number right to the right-hand side of the display URL. And we're going to talk about the anatomy of these ads in the section of this course that dives into ad copy writing and techniques. But for now, right to the right of the display URL is this little phone number, and that's actually a call extension. On a mobile device, this extension turns into a button, which is clickable. On desktops and tablets, it's not clickable. If somebody clicks it, nothing will happen. But on mobile devices, this call extension will turn into a button. And if you click that button, you get charged for a click. Or rather, if a potential customers or if a searcher clicks that button, you will get charged for a click. You could select to only show during business hours. So you might have an ad campaign that's running 24/7, but you only want to accept phone calls to your business between 9 and 5. So you could simply schedule your call extensions to only show with your ads during opening business hours or whatever hours you'd like. What's really cool about call extensions, when I think it's one of the most fantastic features of call extensions, is that you get really easy out-of-the-box call tracking using Google forwarding numbers. When you set up your call extensions, you're going to have the option to use a Google forwarding number, which means that you put in your actual business number, you select the checkbox, yes, I'd like to use a Google forwarding number, and every time your ad is shown, a different number will be shown, a different number will be displayed to the user. If they call that number, it will be forwarded to your actual office number, but the beautiful thing is, you're going to be able to now track which keywords, ads, campaigns, ad groups, time of day, demographics are leading to phone calls. And what's really cool is that you could determine the length of the call for that conversion action. So you could say only count a 3-minute phone call from an ad as a conversion. So that's something really cool to think about while setting up call extensions. As a caveat, some businesses don't like the fact that their actual number will not be shown to the user because let's say that user saves the number in their phone and Google says, give or take around 60 to 90 days, that number is going to be recycled, and that number is not going to always dial your office. Some have an issue with the aspect of branding. They don't want to show a different number. But anybody who's ever done call tracking, at some point, even huge companies who are heavily invested in call tracking software, at some point, you have to make a decision what's important to you, tracking these results or always showing the exact same number. And that's a call that, no pun intended, that obviously you're going to make. A call is priced the same way as a click. So on mobile, if somebody clicks that button to call your phone, you get charged the same you would have gotten charged if somebody clicked the headline. But this is also very important to realize. You get charged even if the person does not make the actual phone call or if the call does not go through. What happens when you click that button on mobile is you're going to get a prompt. The user on their smartphone will get a prompt. Would you like to dial this number? If they click no, you still get charged. Yeah, it sucks, but that's the policy. Pro tip for call extensions. If you're also using location extensions, call extension numbers will take precedence, and that's an interesting thing to know. So you might have a location extension that's pulling a phone number from your Google My Business account, but you can override that phone number with a call extension number and use call tracking. So that's an interesting pro tip. Moving on from call extensions, over on to review extensions. And review extensions are pretty exciting things, and they're actually quite underutilized. Review extensions, as you can see on the right-hand side, it's either quoted or paraphrased from an independent third party. When you create your review extensions, you're going to tell Google whether this is an exact quote or whether it's a paraphrased quote from an independent third party. Clicks to the third-party review sites are not charged as clicks. And if you could look closely on the right-hand side over here, you see this little link that says US News and US News and World Report. These are actually clickable links that are where these paraphrased reviews can be found. So if a user clicks on one of those links, the advertiser doesn't get charged anything. It must be a review within the past 12 months. That's something important. Google is going to review each one of these review extensions that you submit. It can't be any individual reviews or testimonials on your site, and this is something that a lot of our clients get frustrated with or get confused with when they're trying to set up review extensions and they're getting disapproved. The review can't be hosted on your site that a client wrote in or a testimonial or from a case study. It has to be from an independent third-party website. The actual review has to link to the review and not to your website, like we just said. But it also can't be any press release reviews. So if you've released a press release, even on a very reputable press release platform, Google will not approve those review extensions. And here is a pro tip for review extensions. They're very underutilized, right? So very few advertisers are taking advantage. I recommend that you spend 5-10 minutes searching Google for different searches that you could think of, and notice how few ads actually have these review extensions attached to them. So it's a huge opportunity to create a greater impression on the search engine results page, to be more unique, and to stand out more as customers are evaluating which ad to click on. Let's move on from review extensions. And I really like review extensions, and I would spend more time talking about them in different case studies, but I don't want to get too bogged down on that one thing. Callout extensions. Callout extensions are very, very interesting. If you look on the right-hand side, and actually this is pretty cool because this is a client of ours, Maserati of Long Island. Take a look at their headline: deals from $6.99, come take a test drive today. Power, luxury, sophistication, glory, for less money than you thought possible. What a fantastic ad. Good job. Good job, guys. So beneath the description, we have a few different little snippets of information. 562 horsepower V8 engine. Expert Maserati service. Amazingly specials. 2017 Levante is here. These are little callouts, kind of little blurbs that give a little bit more context and give a little bit more information about our products and services. What's cool about callout extensions is you could set them at the ad group or campaign level. So if you create callouts at the campaign level, they will by default apply to all the ad groups inside the campaign. But you could also set individual callout extensions at the ad group level. So if you have an ad group targeting just, let's say, the 2017 Maserati Levante, I might have a few different callouts about that specific make and model. I'll say its specific engine. I'll say the different trims you can get, or that it comes with complimentary heated and cooled front seats that are specific to that model. So ad group level callouts is a very good thing to take advantage of. The approach when creating callouts is that you should be highlighting special offers and promotions. This is the place for promotions. This is the place for special offers. Free shipping is a great one. Black Friday sales going on now is another great one. 8,956 satisfied customers. So these little blurbs, promotions that are quick, sweet, and customers love hearing them, those are great ideas to use in callout extensions. What's nice about them is that they're very easy to edit and they won't reset ad statistics. Say you have an ad running for a few months and that ad has 1,000 clicks and 25,000 impressions, and you change one word in the headline. Everything gets reset to 0, but you could edit callout extensions and the stats will not get reset. So it's called real-time editing. You have a 25 character limit per callout extension. You could add 4 to 8 of them in your account. I recommend adding 8 of them because they're very easy to add and Google will rotate them. And you'll be able to see which ones are performing better. You could also customize callouts for mobile devices, which is cool. So you might want to have, if you have a separate content on your mobile site, or mobile visitors are usually looking for a different type of product, you might want to have customized callouts for mobile. And that's something that you could do from right within the Google AdWords dashboard when you're setting up your callout extensions. What's also cool is you could schedule your callout extensions. So you could schedule specific ones to run during certain times. So the classic idea is if you're running a specific sale for 5 days, you could have a callout extension that promotes that 90% off sale or 90% clearance sale for just those 5 days. You have a start date and an end date, and you could do that for each and every callout extension at the campaign level or at the ad group level. So that's something which is a really cool thing to keep in mind as well. Pro tip on callout extensions. Use your ad copy for the detailed benefits and features. Use the headline, the 2 headlines you have, the description characters you have to talk about the features of your product, to talk about the emotional, psychological payoffs of your product. And we'll talk about obviously benefits and features soon when we go and actually write our first ads. But now that you have callout extensions, save those types of things for the callouts. So put things like free shipping in your callout extension. Put things like 95% off clearance in your callout extensions. Use your ad copy well for benefits and features, the things that are ultimately the most important for your customers, and use callouts for promotions, sales, and the short and sweet things that are kind of nice, kind of like the cherry on top to really kind of close that deal, close the sale, and close the click. Next, we have structured snippet extensions, and it sounds really complicated and fancy, but they're not. They're just a little bit of a souped up version of callout extensions. So here on the right-hand side, we have a screenshot, help with debt. And if we see, we have that first ad that has no structured snippet extensions, but then take a look at the second ad. The first line over here is their description. The second line, no upfront fees over 3 billion resolved, are callout extensions. And on the third line, we have a structured snippet extension. As you see, it says types: credit card debt, collection accounts, personal loans, medical bills, payday, ... This is a structured snippet extension over here. It's basically a callout extension with a hierarchy that's predetermined by Google. So yeah, they're very similar to callout extensions, but they're structured with a parent category. There's a header that's predetermined by Google, and there's multiple little snippets of information that relate to that header. So you could really think about site link extensions as a full nav in your menu embedded in your ad copy. You could think of callout extensions as like a popover, or an exit intent popover. This is really important. This is really cool. Great sale. Get an ebook. You could think of structured snippets as one individual menu item that has a top level menu, and then if you hover over that menu, you get a drop down. That's really what structured snippets are. They are a predefined list of headers that you can choose from, including amenities, brands, courses, destinations, and about 15 other ones. These are all predetermined selections that Google gives you. If none of the headers that Google provides makes any sense for your products or services, then you cannot use structured snippet extensions. You cannot create your own headers. You must choose from one of the headers that Google gives you. So if you're in the travel industry, you might do destinations. If you're in the online learning space, you might do courses. If you're in retail, you might do brands. If you're in hospitality, you might do amenities, right? So you get the idea. Up to 2 headers can show with one ad. That's also important to realize. With callout extensions, you could have up to 4, site links up to 6, and up to 2 headers can show with one ad when it comes to structured snippet extensions. It really helps give potential visitors more context and information about your products. And as the pro tip using structured snippet extensions, use them for practical product and service info and save callouts for benefits and promos. And this is very similar to the last pro tip, but it's going to give you a sense of the right way to use these different ad extensions. Structured snippets is really, this is the type of information you could find on my website. You could expect to see these sorts of things when you click. Callouts are, you might not see this necessarily in the copy of the page, but this is kind of what we have going on for you. We have this special cool thing. We have this level of history. We've been around for 50 years. Those are callouts. And structured snippets are really, this is the type of things we offer. It's very pragmatic, very practical. It's still very important, but you have the callouts, which are more emotionally driven information, and the structured snippets, which I guess are more intellectual, pragmatic information. And that wraps up a in-depth overview of the different ad extensions that we have the option to configure right off the bat while we're creating our campaign. So now let's quickly jump back over into the AdWords UI. So back in the AdWords UI, you now have a much greater sense of comfort with what these different things are. We've reviewed each one of these in depth. You understand how to use them, when to use them, and what they actually do, and you've seen all examples. In the next lecture, we're not going to go through and configure every single one of these because I think that would be overkill because they all get configured in essentially the same way, but we'll take a look at a couple of them and a couple of the most important ones. So thanks for sticking with me through this one. I know it was longer than normal. Hope I didn't bore you half to death, and I'll see you guys very soon in the very next lecture.